What's up, wrestling fans? It's your boy Chris Style. You are tuned in to the Style Breakdown with Chris Style, episode 7. Today, this episode is called The First Family because there's been a lot of stuff going on with Roman Reigns, the Usos, Jacob Fatu. We're doing this bloodline type storyline going on right now. It's been going on since the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania when Jacob Fatu showed up and said that, he wanted to challenge Roman. But it also, before that happened, Roman Reigns, had the Usos come out with him to celebrate his new world championship that he won off of CM Punk. And he came out to talk about how he missed him and the Usos being together, running things. Uh, he felt like when they were together, they were stronger as a unit, as a family. And we all know the Roman Reigns and the Usos, they grew up together. So they're cousins, but they're like brothers. And he confides in them and he looks to them, but this is going to be the first time in this iteration of the bloodline, which they're calling, like I said, the first family, where I think Roman is going to lead them with love because he's going to look at them and he's going to look for their counsel in any situation where he feels he needs help in. Whereas in the past, when he was in the bloodline, he had Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was the counsel. He confided in Paul Heyman. The Usos, even though he would talk to them, he never really showed them respect. He treated them like they were down beneath him. Like he said, when he asked him to join him, he said, I don't want you to follow me. I don't want you to, be up under me. I want you to be with me. I want you to stand on equal footing with me because what I'm saying? I look at y'all and I feel like we are all on the same level. Y'all like my brothers. And I want to, what I'm saying? I want us to be back together as one unit, all together. What I'm saying? And I need y'all in this run. I don't want to do this by myself without my cousins, my brothers. And so if you saw the first vignette that they did before Raw, Raw, when Raw kicked off, you saw that Roman is sitting at the table with the Usos, and there is almost like a kind of a mob, council type meeting, and and if y'all don't know, of course, Jacob Fatu, he comes out and tells Roman, the reason why he wants to challenge him is not so much he wants to be the tribal chief. He wants all the perks that come with the tribal chief. This is why he's challenging him. He wants to upgrade his life. He wants to level up, and he feels that Roman Reigns is the one that's gonna level him up. Yes, he could go after Cody and he could level up his life like that. That's why Jimmy NJ went on SmackDown to try to talk some sense into him and say, hey man, you on SmackDown. There's a champion on here. You can go after Cody Rhodes. You can beat him and you can level up your life and we can make the family stronger with you champion, Roman Reigns champion, and we could all, keep it in the family. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go after Roman to get everything that you want. But I think it's from a perspective of Jacob being the younger cousin, all he's seen is Roman on top. All he's seen is the Usos with him on top. As far as being the top tag team in WWE. And Roman has been on top for I would say the last 6-7 years. He's been on top, maybe even longer than that. He's been the top guy. You know what I'm saying? So that's what Jacob sees. He sees what how his cousin Roman Reigns' life is. He sees that, and that's what he wants. He wants a piece of that. He wants to get the piece of what Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, has. Not so much I want to be tribal chief. I just want the perks. I want that. I like what that looks like. I don't care what, Cody, yeah, I can get that belt, but I don't like what Cody has. Cody has too much corporation and that's too corporate and button up. I like what Roman has. He got the shoe deals. He got the cool stuff over there. I like what he got over there. You know what I'm saying? So initially, he wants to go after his cousin and beat his cousin. And I think in the back of his head, Jacob was looking at, if I beat Roman Reigns, that's going to put a notch on my belt in the family. I beat Roman. Something that a lot of people can't say. You know what I'm saying? I beat Roman Reigns. So, but anyway, it goes back to the council, because he gave Jacob a week. He told him, I'm gonna give you a week to think about this, and we'll come back together next week. And you know what I'm saying? We could talk. I'm not saying no to challenging you at backlash for the belt, but I'm not saying yes either. So we get the council. We get him, him and the Usos talking. And the thing about this iteration of this pseudo bloodline is that, like I said, the Usos are now the wise men. But the thing is that Jimmy, voice of reason. Jay, voice of chaos. Crash out. Jimmy's going to be more logical with his thinking. He's going to give perspective. Whereas in Jay's going to be straightforward, blunt. Hey, bump all that. This is what it is. And that's pretty much what the council is. When he asked him, he didn't understand the Jacob thing. He didn't understand why Jacob wanted to come after him. You know what I'm saying? Why he wanted to take everything I got. He didn't understand that. And Jimmy laid it out to him like, I don't get it either. You know what I'm saying? But I do understand him wanting to level up his life. I do agree with that. I do agree with Jacob wanting to upgrade. Who doesn't want to upgrade their life? But I don't think that it should come at the expense of you. He could, and it goes back to what I said, Jimmy telling him he could go after Cody Rhodes and level up his life. And then Jay, you know what I'm saying? Because it also, they put it out there, look, man, Jacob is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? He took out the whole MFTs by himself. Took out Solo, took out the Tonga brothers. He took out, and Jacob Cobb, Jeff Cobb or whatever, they took him out too. So, or Jeff, or it was a JC Mateo, that's his name, right? But took him out too. So, they're painting Jacob like this, wild, loose cannon. You know what I'm saying? Even Jay said there's a reason why we left him, why we left him where he's at. You know what I'm saying? When he was out in the independents, because he's the loose cannon of the family. He's the crazy one, and we all, I ain't gonna say all of us, but those of you who listen, some of us got family members where they're a little wild. We got that cousin. It's like, hey, y'all didn't invite such and such to the cookout, did y'all? Y'all didn't invite him to this party. Oh boy, all right, y'all. Hide the liquor. Hide all the liquor. Hide all the stuff, because once he gets some of that in his system, it's gonna be a long night. So, but Jacob is representation of that family member that's a loose cannon. Now, I think Jacob has a little bit more sense, because if you hear him talk, yeah, he's a loose cannon, but I think he's a controlled loose cannon. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a smart guy. He's not dumb. He's not stupid. He knows what he's doing. But even they both come to the conclusion that, with him coming at the tribal chief, there should be consequences. You shouldn't get no free ride. You shouldn't get a WWE World Heavyweight Championship. You gotta earn it. And even Roman told Jacob that too. You gotta earn it. You gotta earn this. You're not ready. And Jacob's whole thing is that, hey, I made my decision. I'm coming after you. I didn't need a week or 2 days. I knew what it was when I told you, and I made it plain to you. I want the World Heavyweight Championship because I want to level up my life. And he even told Roman, when I was out there on the independents grinding, what I'm saying, after I got out of prison and got started trying to get my life together, I was grinding, and neither one of y'all called me. Not you, not Jimmy, not Jay. He even said Solo was the one who called me and put me on. Now Roman tried to debunk that and say, well, Solo can't even get a cup of coffee delivered to this building. I'm the one who signed off on you. Yes, I'm sorry. I was kind of busy. I'm on the top of the mountain. I was kind of busy. I'm sorry I couldn't reach out to you, but I reached out in the way of I signed off on you being here. They came to me because I run this place, because I'm Roman Reigns. I'm at the top of the food chain. And any decisions when it comes to my family or anything like that, or anything in this business, mostly, they come to me and ask me, am I cool with that? Now, I don't know how true that is, but I'm just saying, um, I'm pretty for sure they did come to Roman and probably came to the Usos and all them and said, yo, what's up with this Jacob Fatu? Is he cool? And, I'm pretty for sure behind the scenes they signed off because he wouldn't be there if they didn't. But as far as storyline purposes, is Roman's like, I'm the one who signed off on you being here. And just because of that, and because of that line of disrespect, you're not getting the title shot because it's nepotism. You know what I'm saying? Because you're my cousin, I feel like you're not earning it. And then that's when the flip switch, the switch flipped. And Jacob put the tongue in grip, and we ain't seen the tongue in grip in a long time. He put the tongue in vice, whatever you call it, tongue in grip. He put it on Roman Reigns, choked him out or choked him. You know what I'm saying? Roman tried to hit him upside the head with the microphone, but then Jacob put it back on him, put the tongue and grip back on him, and pretty much choked him out. Told him, "I'm gonna take everything from you." And finally, when Roman had enough to talk and get his vocals together after getting choked, told him, see you at Backlash, pretty much. So we are getting the Jacob Fatu. We are getting the Roman Reigns match at Backlash. And Backlash looks like it's gonna be a pretty good card. We got some other matches that were announced. Io Sky, Asuka. I think they're gonna finally put that feud to a head. Shout out to Kara Sane. Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, I was gonna do a a pod about the releases, but I just decided not to. I don't want to make a lot. I don't want to put shine on people losing their jobs like that. But I do want to shout out to all those men and women who did lose their jobs. But Kara Sane was one of those that lost her. Was one in those releases, and it's kind of unfortunate because we never got a chance to get a conclusion to that storyline of Io Sky, Kara Sane, and Asuka. We was hoping one day, Kara Sane finally flips that switch and turns on Asuka, starts, standing up for ourselves, and maybe we got a triple threat by SummerSlam, you know what I'm saying? But we didn't get that. Shout out to Kara Sane, like I said, shout out to all those other men and women who were releases. I pray that you all bounce back on your feet, and I'm pretty for sure you will. You know what I'm saying? There's enough organizations and promotions out there that I believe that all y'all can bounce back in some way or another. So shout out to y'all. But yeah, we're getting Io Sky versus Asuka at Backlash. We're getting Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. Seth came out, pretty much called out Braun Breaker, said that Braun is the reason why he doesn't have his title anymore because he attacked him, put him on the shelf. Then he, blamed him for the Gunther match. You're the reason why I lost that match. I tried to pour everything in you. I tried to be the one there for you. I'm the one who signed off on you being a star. When I had the belt and I went down to NXT and asked who's your best star, they said Braun Breaker. You know what I'm saying? I said, cool. So I've been pretty much saying I've been knowing about you and seeing the superstardom in you, before you was even called up in the main roster. And Braun Breaker's point is, I never needed you. Only person I needed was Paul Heyman. He's the only one that I feel like he could take my career to the next level, pretty much saying that. And that, all me and Bronson Reed did was put out your fires that you started, put out your mess. We were just in your background pretty much. And I never needed you. I never, what I'm saying, I don't need you now. Seth pretty much told him, you're not on my level. But if you think you're ready, let's get it done. Let's do this at Backlash. And you can show me if you're main event ready. So that's going to be interesting to see, what direction that goes. Um, what else matches is announced? There's some other matches that were announced. I can't, I forgot, but there was like a couple more matches that were announced. But yeah, we're getting a full spectrum and picture of backlash that's coming up, man, and yeah, man, it should be a good card, but we all starting to get a clear picture of what's going on between Raw and SmackDown. SmackDown, we'll see what happens with Cody Rhodes because Cody didn't really do nothing on SmackDown. Just came out and said, he's the champion, he's ready, whoever wants it, blah blah blah. And now that Jacob Fatu was going again after Roman Reigns, because I ain't gonna lie, I did think Jacob Fatu was gonna go after Cody Rhodes, and I thought that was gonna be a whole thing, but maybe they running back with him and Randy. Maybe him and Randy running back, and maybe they give Randy the belt at Backlash. Maybe they redo it and they really start going through the history and really build that feud like it's supposed to. And maybe it comes to a head at SummerSlam. So um, it's gonna be interesting to see with that. Um, and we're gonna see what happens with the tag team champions. You see the Street Profits are back, so I'm pretty for sure a Backlash will get the Street Profits versus Division. It's gonna be interesting if they're gonna give the belts to the Street Profits. Now that they're back, and hopefully the Street Profits can get a clear title run, like a real push. We all know how we feel about those brothers. Montez Ford, I think he can eventually be a solo act and do his thing and be a superstar. But Angelo Dawkins too. I think Angelo Dawkins has an opportunity to be a super. I think he's gotten better and better in the ring. I think he's good, pretty solid on the mic. And I think both of those brothers are both stars and are making it in their own way. So hopefully, what I'm saying, that Street Profits get a real good push because they are a lot of people's fans' favorites. They got the crowd behind them. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the Street Profits. I'm glad to see them back on TV. Ethan Page, I've been a big Ethan Page fan even in his TNA days. When he went to AEW, I thought he was really good. I thought he didn't get the push that he deserved. In AEW, I think dude is a superstar. I think eventually he can be main event worthy. I think he has all of the things that you want in a superstar. He can talk on the mic. He's a really good heel. I think his heel work is top tier. You know what I'm saying? I think he could be a really good heel. I think he's good in the ring. And I think he's a good storyteller too. You know what I'm saying? With some of the stuff he does. So I'm excited for Ethan Page. I think initially, I do think that they're going to try to put the IC belt on him. I think he might be the one who beats Penta and ends up pinning him and becoming the new IC champion. So I'm excited for Ethan Page. You know what I'm saying? I know him and Rusev are going to have a tag team match against Javon Evans and Penta next week. So we'll see which direction that goes. Um, you know, but yeah, man, I'm like I said, things are starting to mold into shape. I know Stephanie Van Kier, I think she's hurt. I think something about an AC sprain. So she might be on the shelf for a minute. So it's going to be interesting to see what direction they go with Liv Morgan, who's going to be next up. I know Ruka is going to be debuting, I think, next week. She's going to sign her contract initially. So we'll see what direction that goes. But things are clearing up. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what happens with Rhea Ripley on SmackDown, see what direction they go. Do they run it back with Jade Cargill at Backlash? Or do they, prop somebody else up for her to beat at Backlash? So we'll see what happens, man. But this is my time for the day. Hope you enjoyed, my little takes on, what's going on with with Roman Reigns and the Usos and everything else that's going on. But I appreciate y'all tapping in with me. I appreciate y'all. My videos. Go ahead, subscribe, share it with your friends, and until next time, I'm out.